interesting that you were talking about the disinformation campaign to get Kenny Chu, who is ethnically Chinese, I imagine, out of the, and he's a conservative, out of the race, and influence the race to make the Liberal Party win. But the Canadian government, didn't they recently say that the Chinese campaign didn't have any effect on the elections?
Yeah, well, that's one of the things, and I know you Americans had these conversations as well. How do you determine? How do you determine, what kind of an effect this kind of a thing has on the decisions that people make when they go into the voting booth? I don't think anyone in the country I haven't encountered anybody of any stature anywhere who has said that, the election was stolen in the sense that the Conservatives would have won had it not been for this monkey wrenching. It's quite true that the Conservatives have reckoned that up to 9, I think they say, 9 ridings were lost to them because of this. That may be true. It's also something that's peculiar to the parliamentary system that we have, the first past the post system. People are surprised to discover that only 1/5 of registered Canadian voters voted for the Liberal Party, the Liberal government. It's because we have the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, the Bloc Québécois, the New Democratic Party, some Greens. And also it's because votes are concentrated in the GTA and Montreal and Vancouver. And so in those urban landscapes, it only takes a handful of ridings to completely flip the result of a federal election outcome. But I don't think anyone seriously thinks that the election was stolen by the Chinese government.
Right. Well,
but in specific ridings, they may have had an effect, like with.
My goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the other element too, which is because each party has its primaries, right? So even within the Liberal Party, you might have 4 or 5 potential candidates, and one of them might be backed by the Chinese Communist Party, and they can do some work to make sure that their particular Liberal candidate wins the primary in a district that is almost certainly going to go Liberal in the general election, right?
Yeah.
So that's another way in which it's not stolen from Conservatives; it's actually stolen from other Liberals who are not pro-CCP.
Yeah, that's one of the bigger controversies right now. Is a fellow by the name of Han Dong in Don Valley North, which is in Toronto. The story is that the Chinese government really wanted him in. They made a lot of mischief for the previous sitting Liberal MP in that riding, and went so far as to send buses of recent Chinese immigrants, maybe even visitors, to vote at the nomination meeting, and also Chinese students who were told that if you don't do what you're told, you're gonna lose your visa.
Oh, that's super illegal.
The thing about it, you don't have to be a citizen of the country to vote in a Liberal Party nomination race. There's been sort of a quasi clean bill of health that the overall election has gotten from the what was it called, the Critical Election Incident Protocol Panel or something like that. But they only look at what's happening in the 5-week writ period, as it's called. We don't have one of these interminable election campaigns like Americans do. The writ's dropped, 5 weeks later you go to the polls. And in their jurisdiction is in that period, not what happens before. Most of the monkey wrenching happens before. And their jurisdiction does not apply to what you might call primaries. So, yeah, that's the point. It's a big deal. There was actually a move, I wrote about this, I guess this goes back to 2017, because of foreign influence. There was an attempt by Senator Linda Frum to get law through that would have looked very closely and regulated and governed foreign funding outside the writ period as well. And Liberals didn't like that one either.
Are there current laws related to foreign funding of Canadian elections?
Yeah. Generally speaking, you can't buy a candidate. You can't, and it's also, I think, I should say, I think our election spending laws are more civilized than you have down there. You can only donate $1,500 to a campaign.
But you can donate $200,000 to the Pierre Trudeau Foundation, which is totally unrelated.
That's a hell of a. I find it quite a funny story, actually, because you know that guy I was telling you about, Peter Harder, who is the chairman of the Canada-China Business Council.
Yeah, well, I mean, give us the whole story because our viewers may not know the.
Okay, well, he was
context.
also the big shot. He was also the big guy at the Trudeau Foundation. Oh, where do we begin? Pierre Elliott Trudeau was fascinated with, obsessed with, beguiled by Mao Zedong and the Chinese Communist Party. He wrote one of the most embarrassing books ever written by a white guy about China back in the day. Was instrumental in, actually, Canada was instrumental in crafting the formula that allowed a kind of a, it's the language that diplomats use in relation to Taiwan. They acknowledge China's claim upon Taiwan without agreeing with it. That little sleight of hand was actually a Canadian invention. And Canada was actually, we were there I think we were actually there before Kissinger was. So Pierre Trudeau is well loved in China, where he's known as Potato. And Justin is known in China as Little Potato. And Justin, I mean, this is bred in the bone with these guys. This is their culture. This is, a lot of people will say to me, God, the Chinese must have something on Trudeau. What is the deal with that guy? I mean, seriously. They don't. I don't think they do. I don't think it's as easy as that. It's just the way they roll. Justin Trudeau sees absolutely nothing wrong with any of this. He sees China as the future. He has a special family relationship with China. They beat him up, though. They slap him around. It's really embarrassing. I mean, if you think he's kind of like some wazir from a distant principality who comes to the Forbidden City from time to time and, has a too high opinion of himself and is annoying. And every once in a while, the Politburo will box his ears because he wants rewards for simply doing what he's told. So the Trudeau Foundation was established by actually it was a foundational grant from the House of Commons. And Xingbang, I think it was, an agent of influence, United Front, also a billionaire.
Oh, Zhang, I think.
Zhang Bing.
Yeah.
He came over and he said, okay, I'm going to give you a bunch of money. I really like you. You're just like your dad. I'm going to go to the university or McGill University. And I want, we're going to have a statue of Pierre Trudeau and Mao Zedong, and I'm going to give some money to the Trudeau Foundation. And now it's all come out that actually he was paid by the Chinese government to spend all this money. 200,000 of it went to the Trudeau Foundation. And the thing I find funny about that actually is like, okay, we'll take this money from a guy who's a regime agent. But if we discover that, when he was handing in his per diems, he also, slipped in the receipt for the 200 grand, then we have to give it back to him. I mean, it's kind of comical in that way.
Yeah, they just returned the money, right? Or they're going to return the money.
Yes.
After it all came out.
Right.
Yeah, the $750,000 to McGill University there was no statue, but they're keeping the money. Apparently, it's in bursaries and stuff like that.
I think it was funny that like the statue was going to be of Pierre Trudeau and Mao. Like
Yeah.
that it was like, oh, this is going to be a good look.
Yeah.
You know?
Read the room, guys. Read the room.